In this video, I'm going to show how it is possible to add your own CSS in order to style the mobile app that comes as part of Moodle. And there's two reasons you might want to do this. First of all is if you've got your own CSS additions as part of your main Moodle setup and you want to replicate them in the mobile app. And the second thing is there are a few little things within the app that just don't display quite right, and you might want to just tweak them slightly so that they display a little bit better. Now, in order to do this, I'm using Cabby. It's an organisation for whom I'm supporting, and they've kindly given me permission to use their site in order for me to create this example. Now, this is not a straightforward process. This is not for the average user. It's going to make a few assumptions. I'm going to assume that you understand how to add CSS to the main site and you understand that process. And what we're basically doing is we're finding a way of identifying the inspect element. Now on a browser you just right click and you choose inspect, and then you can get the inspect element in order to find the different classes and the different identifiers that you would use for your CSS. What we're going to do is find the same items but for the mobile app. Now, first of all, in order to do this, we have to have a premium account with the Moodle app, and there are three ways that you can do that. The first, if you are hosted by one of the official partners, you will have a premium account for free, and I would suggest that you start off talking to them. If, however, they're going to charge you lots of money in order to do what I'm about to show, then you might want to come back to this video. The second way is you actually pay, and you can see here at the moment it's advertised as €499 per year to be a premium account. But there is a third way, and that's if you are a NGO or a non-profit organisations, you can actually get this for free. Now you have to contact Moodle and give them evidence of your status, and if they approve it, they will then give you the premium plan. They don't advertise this particularly widely, so you might have to do a bit of hunting around, but all of the links will be shared with the videos at the end. So once we've done that, there's a couple of settings that we need to do within our Moodle. The first one is under the advanced settings. We need to make sure that enable web services for mobile devices is ticked. That if that isn't ticked, the mobile app doesn't work at all with the site. So I'm hoping that's a given. And then the next thing is under mobile appearance, there's an option for CSS. And what we're going to do is we're going to identify the location of a file into which we are going to add the CSS. Now, you could have the file hosted somewhere on your Moodle site, but it doesn't have to be. What we're actually doing is we're using GitHub. So we've created a page on GitHub. It has to be a public page, not a private page, otherwise it doesn't work. And then this will generate a unique URL which we can then put into that box within Moodle. And this is where we're going to be adding the CSS. So if I'm just adding some of the content cards, so for example, these cards that I've created on the front page of the Moodle are created using very simple CSS to create flex boxes, and then I've just replicated them, which I've been able to do by simply duplicating the CSS that I've used on the main site. I've then put into this on the mobile site. Some things you might want to change because of the sizing, it might just look a bit odd, but you can then tweak it once it's in here. But for other items where we need to actually interrogate and find out what the items are, we have to go through a different process. Now, there is a web page on the Moodle .io site which goes through the details. I found it quite complicated. I'm not a particularly techie person, so it took me a little bit of time to get my head around it. But the key points are, we need to use a browser to emulate the mobile app. We have to use a Chromium-based browser, but not Google Chrome. Now it goes through here where you can download it from. So you can download Chromium, and then once you've downloaded it, we have to open it in a very specific way. So that instruction there tells us how we have to open it. Now, the easy way is if you're using Linux, it's just to copy that line of text, or if you're using Windows, copy that line of text. Now I'm using Windows, so I've copied that line of text, which I've then pasted into a notepad file, which I've then saved, and I use this all the time. So what I'm going to do is copy that I then go to the command prompt and I would paste, and then I would just press enter, and that would launch Chromium with the right settings that we need. Now I'm not going to do it because I've actually already opened it just for speed. So having opened Chromium, it kind of looks like a browser, but it's basically a much streamlined version. What we then need to do is go down and open this web page here. So latest.apps.moodledemo.net, which I've already got here, and it will give you a kind of a Moodle page, and there are two options. Are you a learner or are you an educator? Well, I'm an educator and I already have a Moodle site. So what we can then do here is we can put in the address of our Moodle and we can connect to the site. It will then take you to the login screen, so you can enter your username and your password and you can log in. And what you should see is what the mobile app actually looks like, but on these screens. So this is how my site looks in the mobile app. And the key thing here is if I right click and go to inspect, I then have the inspection tools which I can use to identify the different elements, work out what the classes are and things like that, to then I can fiddle with the code in here and change things, and then I can copy the elements and pop it into my CSS file. When I then commit that file, it will apply them to the app. Now slightly annoyingly, the changes won't appear straight away, and even if you refresh they don't appear, which is what would normally happen. So what we have to do is every time we've made a change and we want to check to see how it works, is we have to then go to the settings. I go to the hamburger icon top left and privacy and security, and I need to clear the browsing data. So I'm doing the basic, all three are ticked. I'm going to clear data. I'm then going to go back to my page and I'm going to refresh. Now annoyingly it's going to throw me out and I'm going to have to log back in completely again. So it's not a quick process, but it seems to be the only way that it will work. So again, I'm an educator, I have a site, I can enter my site address, I can connect, it has remembered my login details, so at least that's a bit quicker, and then you can come back in. So you can see what changes you've made and whether those changes have actually worked. And that's really the nub of how to actually add your own CSS or to change the CSS of the mobile app and the way that it works. Obviously you also want to check things actually on a mobile device. What we're noticing is certain things have to be coded slightly differently for Android to Apple, and it's not overly clear how we do that for the two different devices. What you're seeing here will be the Android appearance, so some of the other bits on Apple display slightly differently, and there's a lot of trial and error unfortunately in order to make that work. Hopefully this video has been useful and it saved you a lot of time that I spent going down lots of blind alleys before getting to the final solution of being able to do what I needed to do. I'm Dave Foord. If you wish to get in touch, then please look at my contact details on the screen. I'm based in the UK, but I work with organisations all over the globe, providing consultancy, training and resource development services, mainly in the areas of Moodle and Tatara.